Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Minecraft Realms, where I'm starting things off back at the Iron Farms shop, and I believe that I've got a couple of orders as I got that messages on Discord, so I'm going to have a look in the book here, and it looks like I have got some orders given the diamonds. And yes, iRaw Vapor and TYS have both paid, and I've messaged the coordinates on Discord, so I'm going to go start building up their iron farms. Well, I'm over here by TYS 205's base, where he requested an iron farm, and it's all but built. So I've still got to put the villagers in, or the zombie villagers, and then splash them with the weakness and golden apple. However, I've been travelling around for 2 nights and still haven't seen a single zombie or zombie villager, so that's still a work in progress. However, the other thing that he requested was a house to put on top of this, so I'm going to get started on that now as well. And the house design is going to be exactly the same as mine, so that's nice and easy to build. And here we go, one completed iron farm and with house on top for TYS 205. Now I'm just going to pop in to the compartment down here where the iron will go, and of course he's decorated just a bit and there's nothing in it yet. But I have put in 8 villagers, and unfortunately I didn't have the crops to breed up the villagers, so TYS, you're going to have to do that yourself, unfortunately, sorry. And now it's time for me to start work on the second order that I had, the iron farm for iRaw Vapor. Now I believe I've got all the resources except for the potions, which I do have enough room for. So I'll quick jump over to my potions room and get the 8 potions that I'm going to need, because his base is quite a distance away and I therefore need to get all the resources so I don't have to keep walking back and forth. So let me see, I've got glass, I've got the hoppers, I've got the pressure plates, I've got potions, I've got the thingamabob, the golden apples. What else did I need? I believe that's it. I'm going to be kicking myself if it isn't. I've got the doors as well, that's there. I've got the bucket of lava. I can't quite think of if I'm missing something. Well, I think I've gathered all those resources, so now it's off to iRaw Vapor's place where he wants the iron farm, and it's time to start building it. After a bit of discussion with iRaw Vapor, I've decided that we're going to be building the iron farm at ground level over here, and it will actually be over the ocean, so a little bit of work, extra work, but we'll see how it goes. And there we go, we've finished off the second iron farm today. Well, when I say finished, we haven't quite finished it. We still need to get all the villagers into the 4 compartments, so 2 in each, and then we need to start throwing some crops into it and all that. But other than that, it's done, and I believe that since this is over the ocean, it can produce some fish. I did see some fish swimming in some of the water in the top compartment. So there we go. It may or may not produce fish. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see. And I now have 2 decisions to make, or 1 decision to make. I now need to decide whether or not to go for the zombie villagers on some of these 2 islands nearby, or to go raid them from iRaw Vapor's place. So I'm thinking to go to his place and get some villagers, because he does have a villager farm, so it would be nice and easy. However, it is a fair distance through the nether and over dangerous parts of the nether as well, so I'm not entirely sure that would be a good idea. But again, we'll have to see. We'll wait for night and investigate whether or not these islands do produce some mobs, and especially zombie villagers, and if they do, we'll have to bring them across to here, making a huge, a bridge across to make sure they don't sink to the bottom and then get stuck, because that is a problem that I will have to overcome. I'm now on the island that I just saw in the distance, and I'm not quite sure, but that looks a bit like a sunken shipwreck, so I'm going to go dive down and investigate as to whether it is one. And let's keep looking. I think I'm heading in the right direction, and it should be coming on screen now. Yes, it is a shipwreck. That is an odd one. It's on the side. So I guess a sunken ship, and that means there should be some shipwrecked treasure in here or something like that. I just have to find it, and there it is. Now where's my axe? Oh, that's a pity, I didn't bring one. Can I reach it from here? Yes, I can. With some iron, some lapis, some emerald, which I don't really have much of, and there we go. I was hoping for a treasure map, but it can't have everything, I guess. I'll keep looking about, but I think there's there's a second one. There we go. And a treasure map. That's nice. That's nice. A compass and a treasure map. So I might go hunting for that in the near future. And in the meantime, I'm going to return back to this island and wait for night. While I'm waiting for night, it turns out that this bit is actually a little bit close, or quite close to the island. I think it's in this direction. So again, I'm gonna, instead of waiting for night, I'm gonna go over to these bits and try and find this treasure. It could be close, and I'm gonna have to keep hunting. It's probably in these islands just over here, I reckon. It's given that the map is filling in, and there we go, it is quite close. So I'll find it and show you exactly what I get. Oh, and by the way, if you are watching this, you do have a coral reef at the coordinates I'm showing you. So you may want to open a coral shop. I'm not sure if that will sell well, but it's an idea for the future as well. And while hunting for this treasure, I found another guardian temple. It's over here, 72864 6730. So if you want to keep looking for that, or if you want to make a guardian temple IRL again, there's another one right here for you to use. And after a little bit of digging, we've discovered where the treasure chest is, and hopefully this one doesn't have another treasure thing in it. That's good. It's got a heart of the sea, it's got some diamonds, got chain leggings. I don't think I'm going to have enough room for all this stuff. I've got a potion of water breathing. I don't really need the chain armor. I could use a disc. Don't really need a feather. I can use the potion of water breathing. I don't really need actually I do need the bones for the tree farm. I can combine those two, I can put that in, and there we go. So I'm going to leave the armor there, but I've got a fair amount of stuff from that treasure chest, so that's been a good expedition, and I now can head back to the island. And now that I've completed both of the orders from my iron farm shop, it's time for me to move on to something else, and the first thing I've got planned is getting rid of this Christmas tree. It's now been a month since Christmas, and while 2 of the Christmas presents are left, I don't think there's any point keeping the tree here, so I'm going to get up there and remove it all, starting from the top and going downwards to the bottom. And there we go, one tree fully removed. Now I managed to get about, I think it was 20 or so stacks of spruce leaves, and as you can see, the 1 1/3 stacks of the spruce logs, and a bit of dirt which just happened to be at the top. I'm not quite sure why, but yeah, it was there as well. I also managed to get quite a bit of the different colours of wool, and some gold as well. I'm not sure if I should return the gold to the roller, so if the roller is watching this, let me know if you want me to return that gold. Now, in the last episode of Minecraft, I built this little thing. It's not very little, but I built it, and it can handle every kind of wood except dark oak. Now, of course, I still need dark oak trees, so I'm going to start on actually building things that can take on the dark oak. Now, I'm thinking on the back of here, but at the same time, I needed this area to be something else, so it's still a little bit of a work in progress. And I also might want to remove this island, because I'm not sure that this island is going to cope with what I'm planning in this area. And of course I'm going to reveal that in a few minutes. But back on the topic of the tree farm, I'm now thinking that I potentially could put the road through here, just the first 3 or 4 blocks across, and then I could put trees through here, which that isn't really going to leave me with a lot of space, to be honest. So I'm also thinking back here. Well, yeah, it's a bit of a complicated issue, because this tree farm is smack bang in the middle of this little, I would say island, but it's not quite, surrounded by water. This little bit over here, so still a little bit of thinking. I could, and yeah, the road is over here, so it would it does go quite nicely over here. Then it can curve round and go into this next project that I'm going to build. And I've made my decision, so it's just going to be at the back of this current tree farm. So it's just going to come over here and meet up with the river that I've finally completed after, well, 13 episodes of not completing it. So I'm going to start building this, and then when it's finished, I'm going to show you the finished work. That's ever so slightly annoying. This pattern just finishes right here, so in theory I really should put a second line of this here, and because I'm just lining the outside with 2, but the middle bits are 3. So in theory I should do that, but I want the road to go smack bang against here, so I'll have to think about that and decide again in the future whether or not I put the second line there, or just let the road go right against this line here. And there we go, it's a fully completed tree farm for dark oak only. Now, you may note that I've chosen to put glowstones in each of the corners, and that's mainly to prevent any mobs from spawning, basically to stop mobs from spawning in this area, even though the slabs do that already. I just want to prevent stuff from getting into here and then attacking me when I am up in the trees harvesting all the wood. So yeah, that's a good thing. And now as you can see, I've now planted the 42 saplings I had with the 2 left over here. So I think that is 10 trees, 10 trees there, and they will grow and I'll be able to harvest them, and eventually I can expand out to the full, I think that's 15 trees, so that will be quite a bit. It's not as much as this can produce, of course, but it's a start and it's better than nothing. And but I think dark oak is one of those trees that I use a lot, so I may have to expand this in the future again. Now, the major project I've got planned for this area is a harbour. Now, what I'm thinking of, it's going to curve round through here, go near the iron farm, and come round the edge of here, and end around where the river is. So it's going to be quite a reasonably sized one, and I'm thinking of building quite a few ships and docklands and jetties coming out, but of course that means I'm going to have to get rid of the island over here, at least up to where it raises up here. However, it also means I'm going to have to do a lot more terraforming and removing this hill over here and that hill over there. So I'm going to get started on those 2 hill removal projects. And just a bit of an update on this project. I have now finished taking down this hill and the hill over there. This one took a lot longer. It was a lot higher, and I had to also scale back this hill. I didn't take it all the way back to y equals 65, but I allowed it to gradually come down, so that took a little bit of work. And then all this, of course, was stone at this level, so I had to rip that up and put all the dirt in, so it took a while. So now, of course, the next part is to start taking away the island over here, and there's a turtle over there. Yeah, so I'm going to have to take away this island as well, just so this little bay area is a little bit bigger and I can fit a couple more ships and whatnot in here. And there we go, this bit has now been completed. It's not as deep as it could have been, but it is completed, and now I can start installing whatever I need to do in here. The jetties, the harbour area, and of course any ships that I want to put into here. I'm thinking of putting a bit of a warship over here, and a couple of barges for the sawmill I'm planning to build somewhere over there, and a few other things. And here we go, I've made a start on the harbour. Now I decided not to go with the one showcased earlier in the video, but one that I found, or a design that I found in the internet, which is basically just wood and then a stone, I'm not sure what you call that, but a stone wall preventing the water from getting under into the land. Of course I've still got to put in some jetties, and not quite sure where I'm going to put them. I'm thinking over here, but then that would block up the river, and over here will be quite close to here. And yeah, so there's a few places I could put it, like over here, just jutting up between these 2 posts, and of course on the very end where that far post is over there. But yeah, those are in the future, and then I'm thinking as well, put a bit of a dockland, or the dockland shape over here, like this, the wood and the stone, on that side as well. The problem with that, of course, is that this is an island, and there's no way to get from here to here without going all around, and then of course I'd have to put a bridge there. But I can cross that bridge when I get to it. And as you can see, I've started work on a stone road, which transitions quite nicely with a little bit of dirt and stone mixed up just over here into the dirt path over here that goes into the main part of the town. Now this is mainly because I would like this area to be a little bit more well developed and built up than the town over here. One thing I am thinking is that this river does look a little low. However, the problem with raising it is that if I was to raise it all the way around, I'm going to have to it's going to be quite a bit of water, but as well, the bridges that I've built, and I'm going to show you then in a sec when I get over there, the bridge that I've put over here is actually quite low, so I'm thinking that while the river will be raised a couple of blocks high, it's going to slowly go down by a couple of blocks, and possibly go down around here or so. Where's that coming from? After that little mishap, yeah, I'm thinking that the water is going to go down to transition a couple of layers down and end its slightly raised level over here by this second or third bridge. And there we go. If you're looking very carefully, this part of the river is quite low. It's just a little creek, if you will, whereas over here it becomes one layer slightly higher, and it reaches like that all the way until we get to this bit over here where the river comes to an abrupt end and flows down the one block into the big ocean. And there we go, the first set of people carrying the chest. Now, of course, I could colour the armour so it looks like there's a bit of a uniform on them, but of course I can do that a little bit later. For now, I'm going to put a few more of these around, perhaps one over here somewhere, and then a couple more on this side. And of course I could scatter just a couple of rogue armour stands just standing around looking like they're looking for something or other. In putting these on, it's a bit of a pity that I can't edit the armor stance like you could in Hammercraft, so you can edit the arms so they're actually carrying the chest and whatnot. So that's a bit of a pity, but it can't really be helped. Oh wait a minute, I could also put the chest onto the armor stands themselves. That's good. Can I take it off? No, I can't. And there we go. Now I've got two sets of people carrying a chest, as well as one person who's supposed to be an official or something, looking at a piece of paper and examining it. Now what I'm thinking is I'm going to build a ship off in this direction somewhere, and this guy will be, this guy in theory would be examining his piece of paper and guessing and thinking about what kind of stuff would be there, that kind of stuff. Just an official of the port, like a customs official. And now the next step of my project here is to start putting a few chests and barrels in the area. So for a barrel, I'm just going to put a couple of blocks of cobblestone and then mark it up with some spruce trapdoors, and that needs to be in my inventory. So just like that, and it looks a little bit like a barrel. It's probably a little bit tall there, so I might get rid of the top bit here. And of course these extra trapdoors there, if I can find my axe. There we go. So I'll get rid of these. There we go, and then one more on each side if I don't fall off, which is a bit of a pity because I keep doing that and there's no way to get up. I could put some ladders in, but that would ruin the feel of it. Anyway, moving back over to there in a second. Let's get there, so yep, just like that. Now shift clicking across, and there we go, and just a block on the top. And there you go. It looks a little bit like a barrel. Sort of fades in with the spruce slabs that I've got here, but that can't really be helped. And I'll add a couple more of that over here. So one here, again quite close to the edge. So I'm going to have to be careful, not fall in. Another one. And there we go. And of course I can put a few more of these chests around, since that is what these guys are carrying. So a few more. Just randomly put them in places. These aren't supposed to really carry much. And maybe a couple more on the far end over there as well, of chests. So this just gives a little bit of an extra feel to it, so it doesn't look like it's just a flat area of land and that isn't really decorated at all. And I think another barrel somewhere over here. I'll put it a little bit further back from the water, and there we go. So that looks a little bit more flattered. Now it's time for me to move on to another part of the docklands or harbour that I've got. And the last project that I've got planned for today is a ship, and I'm going to make that mostly out of oak and jungle wood, so the two together look quite nice, and using spruce in a couple of places. Now I do need some wool, but I can get that at a later point. And the dirt is mainly so when I start building the hull of the ship, I can fill it in with the dirt and then remove the dirt, and that will get the water out of the hull of the ship. Now I do want this ship to be rather deep and rather big, so I need to go quite a little bit away from this wall. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would make it a 10 by ship, which is reasonably big, maybe 6. And then I can have a little bit of space there as well. Let's see. So I'm going to put the first log of wood there. I'll use the jungle to start with because I got a lot more of that. Now do I want it? That would make it 4 below the water. I want it at 5 below the water. This does mean I'm going to have to put it above or resting on the land, but that's really the consequence of me not digging it out as much. Now, having determined how long I need this to be, now it's time for me to start sloping this thing up. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. So that thing is, I think it's 15 blocks long, so I need to gradually go up. I might need to cut down the length on that actually. 1, 2, that's 4 there. 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. That's going to be quite a big ship. Might have to cut down on the length of that, mostly from this end, because I haven't built this end up. So maybe I'll make it, I think it's 15, so make it 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's still a rather big ship, but then again, I do want bigger ships in this harbour than I have usually built in the past. Now I want this side to be the front of the ship. That's the one pointing towards the river over there. So I need this bit to go up just at a slightly slower slope than the other one. So that's 5 instead of 4, and then 4 instead of 3. And then this one's at surface level, I believe. So I'll make this one 3, and go up a little bit more at 3, 2, a couple of 2s, and go on from there. having a look at that, I'm not quite sure that's going to be quite fitting. It's a little bit too tall, so maybe if I just took the top layer off and then worked on from there, I'll have a look and see if that's quite good. It's a little bit too big for the harbour, I believe, but we'll see how it goes. Having built half the ship, I'm not entirely satisfied with the way it looks. This bit is, the front of it looks good, but the bottom of it is not quite the back of it. It's not very good. It's a little bit too, not a very abrupt ending. It needs to be a little bit more abrupt. So I'm thinking, as soon as I can get up here, cut out this bit, and then end the tail of the ship here, and then this bit can go up a little bit more gently. And partway through the building of the ship, I'm still not entirely satisfied with the back. The nose looks good, or the bow of the ship looks good, but the stern is still a little bit off. So that's still a work in progress. However, I think that's the adequate height for the ship, so I'm going to start putting in the deck and the mast and all that now. And as you can see, I've now made a little bit more progress on this. The back of the ship I'm pretty happy with. It does curve out quite nicely. However, the front of the ship now looks a little bit out of balance, so I'm thinking the front of the ship needs to come up maybe 1 or 2 blocks. On another note, I have finished up the decking, so it goes from around here to here and misses those 4 blocks and finishes up there. Now, looking at a bit of a Wikipedia, I have determined that this kind of ship looks something similar to a galleon, so which means now I have to think of a name for it, and I'm thinking of a name like Defiance or some aggressive sounding name like that. And at some point I am going to be putting cannons into this ship, but that's probably going to come into a future episode. And after a little bit more of building, I finally finished off this ship, so it looks quite nice. I reckon I still need to put the mast and all the decking and all the sails and whatnot in, so all the functional bits of the ship, but for the hull of the ship, however, is complete. And I believe that's all I've got time for today, except I've just got to put 2 more blocks in and then I'll be done, which are just over here, so these bits to make it look just a little bit nicer. And there we go, so I believe that's now done. And that's all I've got time for today. If you have liked this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and keep watching out for the next ones. Goodbye!